Welcome to Creative Movies Recapped. Enjoy today's recap, Ingrid Goes West. Be aware of spoilers ahead. The film opens up with Ingrid, who has a social media obsession, stalking Charlotte's Instagram wedding posts. Charlotte is an Instagram influencer who once commented on Ingrid's post, and since then, Ingrid believes that they are both good friends. Ingrid storms into the wedding and pepper sprays Charlotte for failing to invite her to the wedding. The film transitions to Ingrid in a recovery facility. Her voice is heard as she writes a letter to Charlotte apologizing, stating she has gotten better and is now a whole different person. It's revealed that Charlotte got a restraining order against Ingrid and her Instagram account is now private, hence Ingrid has no way of reaching out to Charlotte. After Ingrid gets out of the recovery facility, she learns of Taylor Sloan, a social media influencer, from a magazine article. She checks her out on Instagram and comments on one of her posts about avocado toast. Ingrid is seen crying in her bathroom and at the same time receives a reply from Taylor, who recommends a restaurant in LA. Ingrid decides to move to LA where Taylor Sloan lives, using the money her deceased mother left her as inheritance. She rents a house from Daniel Pinto, who is also a screenwriter. Ingrid gets a makeover in her style, inspired by Taylor Sloan from her Instagram posts. One day, Ingrid runs into Taylor at one of her favorite bookstores and tries to play it cool, however ends up embarrassing herself. She later follows Taylor home and notices her dog. That night, Ingrid kidnaps the dog. The dog begins barking, alerting Daniel, who had made it clear earlier on that no pets are allowed because he's allergic to dogs. Ingrid manages to convince Daniel to allow her to keep the dog for the night, which belongs to a friend. The next day, Ingrid is seen holding a poster of the missing dog and a reward for whoever finds it. After calling the number on the poster, Ingrid returns the dog to Taylor and her husband Ezra. The two are happy and relieved to find their lost dog, and Taylor introduces herself to Ingrid. Ingrid rejects the reward cash, and instead Ezra invites Ingrid over to their house for dinner. Taylor further notices that Ingrid is familiar and the two have met before, but Ingrid avoids the question, excusing herself to the bathroom. She takes a couple of pictures in the bathroom, which include Taylor's possessions from her medications to her lotion cream. Later on, while chatting during dinner, Ingrid inquires what they both do for a living. Taylor responds that different brands pay her to post online while Ezra is an artist, and it's later revealed that Taylor forced Ezra to quit his job and become a full-time artist. They later sit down for some wine and Taylor comments about a friend of hers who flaked out after promising them to help move some items to their home in Joshua Tree. The next day, Ingrid borrows Dan's truck and in exchange she has to be back by evening to play a character in his table read. Taylor finds a card with the name Daniel Pinto, and when she inquires about him, Ingrid responds that Daniel is her boyfriend and the actual owner of the truck. They later pull over for an engine checkup. The two begin bonding and Taylor comments that she finds Ingrid interesting, and after taking some pictures together they move on to Joshua Tree. Daniel begins texting and calling Ingrid, reminding her of the table read. However, Ingrid refuses to pick his calls. They stay out late and party. They later drive back intoxicated and get into a car accident, leaving the truck scratched. Both spend the night out and Ingrid returns the truck to Daniel the following morning. Daniel is now furious because he had to cancel his table read and his truck is also damaged. Ingrid is thrilled when Taylor posts a picture of both of them and prints the picture, placing it in a frame. Ingrid's voice is heard as she writes a letter to Charlotte informing her about how well she's been doing and the new friends she now has. The bond between them continues growing and they begin to often hang out together. One day, Taylor's brother Nicky visits Taylor from Paris. Ezra does not seem happy about Nikki's arrival, and so does Ingrid when Nikki is instantly rude to her. While chatting, Nikki invites Taylor to Holly's party, a fashion blogger, but Ingrid reminds Taylor of plans they had together. However, Taylor bails on Ingrid and tells her to go alone instead, as she prefers to accompany Nikki to the party. With Ingrid disappointed, she stays at home, and after seeing a post with Taylor at the launch party, she decides to go to the venue and hang out with Taylor. From a slip of the tongue, Ingrid realizes they were secretly talking about her and her imaginary boyfriend whom Taylor says she has never met. Ezra invites Ingrid for a house party over the weekend and brings her boyfriend along. Ingrid is later forced to leave the VIP area when her name does not appear on the list. She's seen all by herself staring at them from a distance in the party. The next day, Ingrid shows up at Daniel's house to apologize for the incident with his truck. Daniel is still upset, but Ingrid offers to take him out for dinner to start over. After reconciling, they begin a relationship and Ingrid brings Daniel to the house party as her boyfriend. Ingrid further instructs Daniel to stay away from Nikki. However, Daniel and Nikki start getting along and find out they both share a love for Batman. That night, Nikki peeks through Ingrid's phone as she types in the password, which is later revealed to be Taylor's birth date. Ingrid becomes envious of Taylor and Harley's friendship, pushing her aside. After a conversation with Ezra, Ingrid discovers that a part of Taylor's life is a lie and fabricated. Later on, Ingrid realizes her phone is missing and figures out Nikki took it. She goes to get it, but with Nikki now intoxicated, he refuses to give the phone back to her. Nikki has now grown suspicious of Ingrid after finding some pictures revealing Ingrid's creepy obsession with Taylor. Nikki threatens to tell Taylor about it and ends up blackmailing her for money. They plan to meet up the next night for Ingrid to give Nikki the agreed money. That night, Ingrid pays a stranger to punch her in the face and goes back to Daniel's house with a bruised face, blaming it on Nikki. Ingrid begs Daniel not to inform the police and instead kidnap Nikki and abandon him in a desert to scare him, but Daniel reluctantly agrees. They capture Nikki, who instantly figures out that Ingrid is behind the kidnapping. Upon getting to the desert, Nikki flees himself and starts attacking Daniel, which results into Ingrid knocking him unconscious with a crowbar on his head. Ingrid rushes Daniel to the hospital, leaving Nikki unconscious on the ground. Taylor calls Ingrid to inquire about Nikki, but Ingrid plays clueless about it. When Ingrid fails to find Taylor at her house in Joshua Tree, she calls Taylor and Ezra answers the call. Ezra tells Ingrid that Nikki already told them about everything that happened and Taylor does not want to hear from her again. Ezra further threatens to call the police after Ingrid repeatedly calls until the following morning. With Ingrid now desperate, she decides to buy a house next to Taylor's loan with the remaining cash inheritance. After moving in, she is seen constantly stalking Taylor from her house. Ingrid texts Daniel, informing him she had to leave and took the truck along with her before her phone shuts down. Unable to pay her power bill, Ingrid gets a power cut. She notices a Halloween party at Taylor's and decides to go and charge her phone disguised in a Halloween costume. She is later exposed when her costume falls off and tries to plead with Taylor to reconcile. Taylor tells Ingrid that they were never truly friends and everything about Ingrid was a made-up lie, and further suggests that she needs professional help. Nikki, Taylor, and Ezra force her to leave the party, giving her phone back. Ingrid is then seen recording a video in her house surrounded by some candlelights, confessing that she has been living a lie in LA and her life is different from everything that she has been posting. She further admits that she is sick and has a problem but has no idea on how to fix or change herself. She attempts to commit suicide and posts the video on her Instagram page. Ingrid lies down and awakes in a hospital bed. Daniel comes to check up on her. She finds out that Daniel saw the video she posted and called the police, who came to her rescue. Daniel informs Ingrid that her video went viral and thousands of strangers responded to the hashtag #IamIngrid to show their support. That's all for today's recap. Please subscribe for more movie recaps.